Hi, welcome to the Beaver Dam Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District Resident Advisory Board meeting for January of 2022. So happy New Year, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Shall we call to order at 7:04? And we can open with the pledge. That's okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. All righty. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Yes, I adopt the agenda.
Second, Kevin. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All righty. And we'll get started tonight with some administrative business. Oh, hang on. I just heard Fred said he got dropped. Okay. Well, I'll get started. Hopefully Fred rejoins us. If one of the board members could connect with him via text, that would be helpful. Thank you. Alrighty. So with that, I will talk about the election results. So thank you to all who voted for board members in December. Thank you to also for those who signed petitions, asked questions, participated in the election process. Your efforts were really, really appreciated. A special thank you to Marty Purdy and Amelia Pogue for working the polls that day. We appreciate your time and energy here in our community as well. So as far as the election results are concerned, we had one seat in Cornwall open for 2 years, and Lawrence Weinberg, Larry Weinberg, you can wave, ran for that seat unopposed, and he was elected with 42 votes. And the New Windsor seat that was available, or one of the 2 New Windsor seats that was available, I ran for. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. So I will continue for 3 more years as a board member as well. So thank you so much. We currently have a vacant New Windsor seat, and we will look to fill this position. And we're going to be talking to some volunteers who may be interested in filling that seat until the next election, at which time they would have to run. Fred, I see you're back. Welcome back. We just went over the election results. So with that, we now have to do our annual board reorganization. So that means we have to re-elect board officers. So we have to re-elect a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary.
For the chair, I nominate Erica. I think the whole community would be incredibly disappointed if it wasn't you.
Yes, I second that nomination.
Thank you. I accept the nomination. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Thank you very much. Vice Chair, I would like to nominate Walter Bloss. I have a second.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I accept it. Thanks.
Thank you, Wally.
And then, although not here to accept, I don't think yet, we did speak with her prior. So I'd like to nominate Colette Fallon as secretary for the board for another
Second.
year.
Second.
Second, Fred seconds. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. So pending her official acceptance, we will plan for Colette to be secretary of the board for 2022. Thank you. Okay, currently our meeting stands at the second Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock. If this continues to work for board members, we can keep it for the scheduled time. Otherwise, we can shift it. Right now, it's scheduled for that time on the county website. And sometimes if we have to change it, we announce it via email and we try to post it on the signs in the community if there's any shifts with it. Any board members take issue with keeping it where it is or want to shift it at all or have thoughts on that?
I'm very comfortable with the Wednesday evening, same as it's been.
Okay, Kevin, does that work for you?
Yeah, it works for me.
Fred, it works for you? Wally, you good with
Yep, all good.
second Wednesday? Okay, so then we will plan to keep it at this time going forward. We are looking forward to getting back to at least a hybrid option as soon as possible. Right now, between quarantines and isolations and Omicron, and we never know how many people are going to come to the meeting, so it can be a little bit tricky to social distance in the building when we have a lot of folks. So stay tuned, and we're going to try and get us back to at least hybrid, so you have an in-person option as well. All right, so moving on to Lake Health Committee. Wally?
Okay. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can without going in covering detail that we've already covered in previous meetings. The cattail cutting, as planned, Pond and Lake Connection completed the final phase, which was coming out and using their amphibious vehicle to do the final cut on the cattails, which were previously treated. That was completed on December 14th. They are on standby if we need to do any additional efforts to do more cutting with them. They're aware of that. The status of the 2022 contract for doing treatments, we submitted all our paperwork last year. It's with the Orange County DPW. I did check with them again today to ask what's the status of it, and they believe it went out already, but they're going to validate that and get back to me on it. But nevertheless, it's ahead of the game slightly from where we want to be. So our goal is to have that in place before we actually need to use it. So it's in the process. Also, the actions with the DPW right now, pending an update from them. And that contract's actually going to be an on-demand contract with the vendor. Next part is Northeast Aquatic meeting. This was a fallout, if you will, from our Lake Health Committee meeting that myself and a couple of the Lake Health Committee members and board members and Northeast Aquatics, we had a telephone call back in December 16th. Went very well. There were a lot of good questions that came out from the volunteers from the Lake Health Committee. We basically discussed lake management services, fish restocking, and future testing plans for both on the short term and long term. Long story out of that was the action went to Northeast Aquatics to provide us a proposal of recommended services and costs with breakouts for the equipment purchases and lab fees, and which they have done that. So that is currently with us to make a decision on how we want to proceed using them this year. Fishery stocking as planned, the paperwork is the first step now for 2022. We have to submit to the DEC for a permit. I got a copy of the permit in hand. That action is with me to complete and submit that. The goal was to get that done by January 30th as originally previously scheduled. The budget, we had a set budget that we've been working off of. I'm actually working with Erica, and she's checking to see if we actually might have additional funding that we could add to that to help supplement that, so we could actually get the stocking level up a little bit higher from where we were coming in at. And the other part we have an open issue with is to check, see if there's actually a opportunity for cash donations and how we could fund that through. DPW is reviewing the need for the bid process for hiring a hatchery, because it's going to be in excess of $10,000. Northeast Aquatics, they agreed on the need to actually conduct measurements for the saturated oxygen in the water before we put the fish in. So we'll be trying to get that lined up for the spring before we actually put the fish in. And the plan is to actually do the restocking in the months of April or May with whoever we choose to use as the hatchery. That is it for the Lake Health Committee update. Any questions at all?
Wally, is there a date for the next committee meeting, or did we want to have a February meeting?
If we have a meeting, to be honest with you, it's going to be nothing more than doing a recap of what everybody knows. We could do it just for the sake of getting on paper and saying, okay, where do we want to go from here? But it just won't be that productive. If we want to do it, let's do it next Wednesday, the 19th at 6. We can keep it a brief, but again, I think we might be challenged, but I think we'll have to do it virtually also. In the past, we've been trying to do them in person. So if we want to do it, let's do it next Wednesday at 6.
Okay, I see a question in the chat box. How many and what kind of fish?
that was reported out on. Who's asking the question?
Robert, I think it's Bob Gaucho.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, we reported on that at the last meeting. I don't have the exact numbers. Maybe I do, because we covered that in great detail in the previous meetings. There's basically, I'm not going to go over it all. Bob, how about you get together with me, stop by, or I'll stop by and talk to you. I'll give you all the details. Just too long to report back out on here. But in short, the fish we're going to go with are largemouth bass, the minnows, and the sunnies. And then potentially, if we have the additional funding, we'll actually put in perch in, but that's not a spring fish to stock. That's actually a fall fish.
How much was the cattail cutting? When does the contractor think it will need to be done again? From Lee Song.
Lee, hey Lee. The quick answer is we had a set bid with them, and that was a couple steps. But one is to come out and do the initial treatment. The treatment was to spray the cattail so it goes down into the root to kill the cattail so it don't grow back. So hopefully you don't have to do it again. And then the cutting was the second part of that. And I think if you're saying how much, are you asking the budget amount? Yeah, I know it was, yeah, the last.
The last cutting in December. Are you asking the dollar amount of that? Yes.
Okay. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Erica, but I believe the total value on that was about $8,000.
Yes. I believe that was the cutting and the spraying.
That, yeah, was the full thing.
The full, yeah.
Yep. And any follow-up work that they need to do, then they would come back and do it.
Okay. Any other questions pertaining to any of the items that Wally discussed? You can pop them in the chat box. I see you, Larry. Go ahead.
So, as had been communicated out by the board, there was the opportunity during that time with the lake levels being lowered. So it was successful for those who took advantage of this. We had a number of people who did post photographs or get involved with some of their neighbors to clean up some of the debris. So that was very positive. For me, I was able to pull out about 40 barrels, about 55 gallon barrels. I have the advantage of having some wooded area on my property. So I just took that and put it in my woods, but other people maybe who weren't as lucky, perhaps you can spread that out on your grass and let it dry out, after the winter months. And then maybe, when the burning season comes again, either you can potentially burn it, or maybe once the yard waste picks back up, you could get rid of it. But it was success. I cleared out in my area about 75% of the debris that had grown over the last couple of years. And it's made a huge impact in, me having the aesthetics in the lake property as a lakefront. So I appreciate all the efforts. And I hope that a lot of people did recognize that, there was a good amount of communication through Wally and the team to explain to you that the lake levels are being lowered. And I believe we're back up where we were supposed to be, correct?
Thank you very much for sharing that.
Sure.
We did have some correspondence from residents via email asking if we could keep the lake level lowered longer. And the reason that the refill happened in the way that it did was because the DEC had some recommendations, requirements about when we refilled that would preserve some of the wildlife that we've enjoyed as the lake is refilled over the last year. Wally, I saw you unmuted. Did you have something to add?
No, I was just going to add on to what Larry was saying, that also you'll notice that in some areas where the cattails were cut, it actually looks like a bad haircut. When the ice is frozen and when it is safe, you could actually walk on the ice and you could trim anything that's left there. It looks like bad haircut fragments down at the level of the ice. So when it thaws out, you won't see the cattail anyway. It gets it right down to the water level.
Great, thank
That's
you.
it.
Do we have any other questions pertaining to the items that Wally discussed? You can pop them in the chat box. It's easier. Okay, seeing no more right now, I'll try to keep an eye on it. If you do have any questions, we can answer them at the end of the meeting. Okay. Next item is just motorized vehicles. Reminder that snowmobiles and quads are included in the list of things not allowed in or on the lake surface. And with that, some ice safety information. So I'll be sending this up as a follow-up email, but as the lake is freezing over, especially this past week, wanted to remind folks that the ice thickness is not tested here in Beaver Dam Lake. Areas of thinner ice are likely to be present. Caution is advised anytime you enter on a frozen lake, including ours. Ice thickness is not uniform on any body of water, and you can clearly see that right now as some areas have frozen and others are far from it yet. And it can vary day to day for a myriad of reasons, including air temperatures, water temperatures, sunlight, etc. And because of these variables, it's not feasible to determine ice conditions in every part of the lake on every winter day. Therefore, residents are responsible for determining safe ice conditions for themselves and their accompanied guests. Please be safe and practice extreme caution this winter. Also, again, no snowmobiles, no quads on, no vehicles, please, no more vehicles out on the lake. And the board is not a security force. Emailing us will not be helpful to you. So if you see something and want to say something, please contact the police department in your respective area of the lake. All I will do is the same thing, and it will prolong that process for you. So please contact the proper authorities if you had any issues with folks out there on the lake or any concerns of safety. It is my sincere hope not to pull another quad, truck, or car out of the lake, and God forbid somebody gets seriously injured. That being said, when it is deemed safe and when it is deemed possible, we look forward to hopefully hosting some ice skating events over at our Reserve 4 property, the Community Beach property. We will need volunteers for this, and it will likely be something that gets put together on the fly. So stay tuned for more information, and all of that will be communicated out via email with some links about how to assess for ice safety for yourself as well. Any board members have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's real important what Erica said there. You can't emphasize it strong enough. Be very, very careful. Do not develop a false sense of security thinking you could step on one area of the ice and it's actually solid. You can go 2 feet to the right and you're going to go right through. I actually demonstrated that today myself. So I was trying to just walk out to my dock. It was only about 6 inches deep, but it was solidly frozen. But you go a couple feet over and it's not frozen. So be very, very careful out there. And the reason I say that is be very careful with your kids and pets, because they may not exercise the same level of judgment as you would. So make sure you communicate that to your little ones too.
Great, thank you. Any questions from residents regarding ice safety on the lake? All right. Nothing further on that. I want to talk about some of the community events that we had go on this December and really end on a hopefully very positive note. So I have a couple pictures. I'll be brief, I promise. Moment. Share my screen with you here for a sec. Too much going on. Okay. So we had the holiday decorating contest. Of course, it's going to do this right now. The holiday decorating contest. So these are the 3 winners of the holiday decorating contest. This is the home that won most traditional. This is the home that won best use of inflatables. And this is the home that won the Clark Griswold Award for most lights. So we had 17 homes enter the competition. 3 were awarded prizes. Approximately 50 families voted, which we love to see. Thank you to Real Estate with Jenkins for providing gift cards, and Christine Little for creating this amazing golden toilet seat for the Clark Griswold Award. If you don't understand that, then you have to watch the movie National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and certainly you will. So thank you so much, Christine Little, for this was really her brainchild, and she did a beautiful job with it. Thank you to residents for participating and signing up and decorating and voting. We had a lot of positive feedback about this event. Next would be the tree lighting, approximately 80. Oh, this is the proudly displayed award at the winner's house. This is drone footage from one of our residents here of our tree lighting event. We had approximately 80 people attend the tree lighting ceremony. Thank you to Sarah and Kevin Phillips for hosting our fire. Thank you, Salisbury Mills Fire Department, for hooking us up with Santa himself. Thank you to all who attended and contributed to this event. It was a great time. We really appreciate it, and we got a lot of good feedback on it. So hopefully we can continue to do it again next year. Also, thank you to Rachel Zani, who led Christmas carols, particularly for the kids, but for the whole community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will pass it on to Larry to talk a little bit about the food and the toy drive. Larry, I'll flick through some pictures as you're talking. Go for it.
Sure. So as a community, we've really come to the table here and shown our spirit, which is fantastic. And, we have our community of 800 plus homes, correct me if I'm wrong. So, we can always do a little bit better, but boy, did we make a beautiful showing. So as you can see by some of the pictures, we donated approximately 500 pounds of food and some personal care items, such as the shampoos and certain other gift baskets and things that were provided, maybe as being for toys, but we put them in as being part of the food drive so that they could be distributed along with people when they went to pick up. So I'll explain what that really means. The items were all distributed to the Country Kids Food Pantry in Washingtonville. So we did a toy drive and we also did a food drive. Now, I know we did them in conjunction with one another together, but it was really essential that for all the people who were generous enough to bring the toys, that we wanted to get those into the Country Kids' hands in order to really make a success and get them out there to the families in need so that they could provide them, for holiday gifts. So it would have been really silly for us to hold on to all of that. So we arranged, basically, I picked up all the product on and sent it direct. We picked it up in our car and we drove it over to the Country Kids Pantry, and they were able to distribute them well before the holiday, which made a great impact. John is I'm going to say the head of the Country Kids Food Pantry. It is in Washingtonville. It does serve our area. So he told me that over 97 families were provided 3 toys apiece. Now, they may have had some other toys that they already were holding for such an event, but man, we really made a huge impact. We definitely donated more than 100 fantastic items and toys, and it went over great. He did really, really appreciate that. So we, to tandem on top of that, we had been doing the food drive as well. And the food drive, we continued to collect food even after we bought the toys over to the Country Kids. We had buckets outside the door to the community building, and people were bringing product over, and we had kind people who would come and daily fill up the buckets. And then people would also volunteer, a board member or perhaps our maintenance staff would go collect the items so they wouldn't freeze, put them on the table. I did contact John from the Country Kids Food Pantry, and we agreed that he would come over on the 20th, and that would set them up to pick up all this food in time for their distribution. So for those of you who might not know, the Country Kids Food Pantry does a food distribution the first and the third Wednesday of every month. John expressed his gratitude for what we had done to help, but he also wanted to be sure that you know that as a community, it's available to people who need it. I'll provide the phone number if anybody wants it. You can even reach out to me. It is very readily available on the internet. They are in Father Tierney Circle. It's right across from Washingtonville as far as the Brotherhood Winery goes. So if you know where the Brotherhood Winery goes, where it sits, basically across the street from that is a church and a school. And over there is where the Country Kids Food Pantry is. John wanted to be sure that he made it very clear that if there are people in need in our community, that they can come and be taken care of. The phone number is 845-888-8888. 496-2119. Okay, we can share that again, but again, it was such a positive, successful event, and man, we really made a huge, we put the stamp of Beaver Dam Lake right back in the heart of the community over there. What a great impact. So thank you for your generosity, and we really look forward to doing some more great things in the future with our community.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Welcome.
Appreciate that.
You got
And
it.
on that note, we also had a volunteer from the community reach out to me this week and ask if they could host like a winter event for the kids where they would come to the building and do some crafting, just for residents. So I'm getting more information about what they're looking to do and when they're looking to do it, and we'll hope to bring that to you as soon as they get it together. So more to come, and hopefully ice skating soon too. So that's what we have upcoming. That is all I have. Board members, do you have any additional agenda items or anything that you'd like to add?
We're good.
Seeing nobody, I'll open it up to residents' comments. If you have questions, please pop them in the chat box. It's usually the easiest way to do it. All righty. Seeing nothing. Great job. Thanks. You're very welcome, Stephen. Thank you so much. All right. So seeing no questions or concerns from residents, if you have any, always feel free, bdlboard@gmail.com, reach out. And we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for your patience. Those who emailed this week, and it took me a couple of extra days. Really appreciate that. All right. I have a motion to adjourn. I see Larry, Kevin. All right. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I will stop recording.